Today we're going to discuss ways to deal with anger. Recently, a young gentleman posted in the forums, in the suggestion areas, that he would love to see us do a video on ways to deal with anger. Now, we had talked about anger a little bit in one of our previous videos, surprisingly enough, called Living in Gratitude. And I discussed how I went from being an angry young man into living a life of gratitude. But this gentleman brought up some great points in his post. And he was relating to how many times when people are not being self-aware, they're very reactive when something happens. They react in anger and they will do physical things or verbal things that they regret later. Some of the things that he mentioned that I could definitely relate to was, punching holes in walls or breaking things or screaming at someone and then later wishing that you hadn't. When I was younger, because of my size and the strength I had as a young child, when I was wrestling with people and just playing around, I would often hurt people. So when I would get angry, I was scared of really hurting somebody. So the way I would show my anger is I would punch inanimate objects, walls, cars, lockers in high school. And actually, my knuckles are still out of line from having done that so much as a child. I also would inappropriately yell at people when I was angry and make them wrong, so much so that even after being sober and on a journey of personal development for 20 years, there are times where my mother feels like she's walking on eggshells because she's so used to the way that I used to respond 20 years ago. So the gentleman's question was related to how do you deal with anger? At that point in my life, I would kind of consider myself on the verge of being a rageaholic. The way that I dealt with my anger was I took it out in very extreme ways. The suggestions that I was given, I couldn't go from being, Mr. Punch the Wall to Mr. Peace in one move. It was suggested step by step. The first thing is what we talk about so much in this series is become aware that you're getting to the point of crossing that line, of doing something physical or of yelling at somebody when it's not appropriate. Be aware and stop yourself. And the best way to stop yourself is to just stop and take a deep breath. That gives you time to think about how you're going to respond rather than how you're going to react. Now, again, if you're just starting to deal with anger issues, you're not going to go into a Zen-like state from that one breath. So what I suggest is tone it down a little. Rather than punching the wall and putting a hole in it or screaming at somebody things that you can't take back, if it's a physical outlet you need, go to the couch, go to your bedroom, go to your car, and punch a pillow, punch a cushion, punch the seat. It sounds silly, but it's a way of still physically getting the energy out, but not leaving remnants of your anger that are going to remind you of that fit. Meaning, if you put a hole in the wall with your fist, every time you walk by that, it's going to remind you. You're going to have guilt, you're going to have shame, you're going to have that trigger that associates you going back into that angry state or feeling bad about yourself. If you take that moment to take a breath and go, and turn and punch the couch instead, you're not leaving a trail of destruction behind you. If your normal outcome is to scream at somebody, take the breath, go outside and scream, or go in your car and roll up your windows and scream if you don't want other people to hear you. You're toning it down a notch. Become aware of when the anger's building. And over time, you can move to that point of staying in peace. As an example for myself, even today, 21 years into my growth and recovery, every morning I set an intention for myself. I do a meditation when I leave my house, when I'm getting out of bed, getting ready. And part of that meditation is I set the intention that I will do everything I can that day to respond in a way that heals rather than react in a way that harms. Because so many of us are just reactive. Stimulus happens, we react. We don't think about the response. We don't think about how we could do it differently. So what I want to offer to you is, if you are a person who reaches out in fits of anger where you do things that are physically destructive or verbally destructive, I mean, we can do irreparable damage with the words that we use and how we deliver them to people. If you're a person who reacts immediately by going to those things, just next time you feel it coming up, stop yourself. Just physically stop, shake your head and go, and take a breath. And then choose to express your anger differently. Again, punch a pillow, beat the crap out of the pillow, punch it 30 times if you have to, punch the couch 30 times if you have to. But do it just a shift. If you're somebody that normally yells at somebody, take the breath, take a moment, and focus on how you can respond rather than react. It's a process that may take you a few attempts to apply in a healthy way, but it is ways for you to deal with anger that can help you build bridges rather than burn them. So I look forward to feedback that you have on ways that you've learned to deal with anger and that we can share with other people. And stop by the forum and respond to the young man's comments himself. It's in our suggestions area at the very top of the page. Look forward to connecting again soon. Take care. For a transcription of the video you just watched, more videos, and related articles, visit yourdailylifecoach.com. To comment on this video, select Discussion Forums on any page of our website.